Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is December the 17th. Last I checked, that is a Wednesday, man. The days are running together for me. Been on the road last 24 hours. So wanted to do a show for you guys and gals yesterday. Unfortunately, didn't get back home in time. So appreciate everybody's patience here. I think this is the first time we haven't gone live talking Packers in over a month. So we've been trying to keep the daily content rolling out as we're in the thick of it here, coming down the playoff stretch. But we appreciate everybody jumping in here this morning and making us a part of your day. Today, what we're going to hit real quick is injury report versus the Bears. Bears week already here. We're talking about a kickoff Saturday night. A lot of important information that's dropped, and I think it's great news, to be honest with you. I mean, as good a news as you can have after losing Micah Parsons for the rest of the year. So we'll give you guys all the updates that we started to dive into. I think it was on Monday and Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Monday, yeah, that we really started to dig into and go, okay, who's going to be available on a short week? And maybe some players that you're going to want to hold out. So we'll give you all the updates there. And we'll also talk a little Matthew Golden as he's heating up. Man, it was fun to see him on the football field looking healthy there against the Denver Broncos. Made 3 great catches. We'll break down a couple of those and talk about how they may utilize him with Christian Watson potentially missing Saturday, or if Christian Watson's out there, the role that Matthew Golden will play as well. But before we get into it, if you would do that YouTube stuff for us, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. And everybody in the chat, do me a quick favor, spin those laces, smash that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Let's waste no time. Let's get into it. I know I see everybody in the chat. Thank you all for jumping in here. Nick McSwain in the house. We got if I'm saying that right, Lesipa in the chat. We got Krista Cashwin. We got Marco. Good to see you, buddy. Paige and Dr. Griff in the house as well. As he says, spin that football, crew. Just hit that like button. Enjoy the animation there from the football, unless it's a soccer ball. And I won't get angry. It's too early to get angry, all right? We got to keep the blood pressure down early in the morning. Let's get into it. We have the first injury report, and this was tweeted out by Wendell Ferrer. Appreciate him throwing this out there onto X for us, and I'll try to get it zoomed in where everybody can see it. So 9 DMPs for the Packers. It's an estimation since today's practice was just a walkthrough. So obviously short week. They didn't actually practice. Did a walkthrough, and the team still have to give 3 injury reports before the game kicks off. Obviously, this week it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday injury reports pushed up a day in advance, with the game getting flexed into Saturday night. Man, it's going to be an awesome environment in Chicago. NFC North on the line. Packers, Bears, we're banged up pretty darn bad. I know there's a lot of people writing the Packers off, although Vegas still had the Packers at 1-point favorites last I seen. We'll dive into that as we get a little closer to kickoff. But here is the full injury report, okay? We got Chris Brooks limited with the chest injury. Brenton Cox Jr. was full participation, although it's just a 21-day window. We'll see if he's activated come Saturday night. Matthew Golden, you love to see this. Full participation. That is great news for us there. Josh Jacobs with the knee/ankle did not participate or would not have participated. However, sounds like Josh Jacobs is going to be a game time decision. He did re-aggravate those injuries there on a hit, if I understood correctly. But again, I think Josh Jacobs is probably going to give it a go Saturday night. You guys know how I feel about this. If there's any hesitation at all, hold these guys out. I would love to sweep the Bears, but I think it's more important to get everybody healthy down the playoff stretch, as we have a 89%, I've seen 87 to 90% chance of making the playoffs here. So obviously that's the more important aspect, as bad as we want to beat the Bears. Darian Kennard with the neck injury limited there. Marshawn Lloyd with the calf/hamstring did not participate. Reading the tea leaves kind of between the lines here, guys, it sounds like Marshawn Lloyd season is probably over. Again, this is a hamstring injury that popped up again. I don't know if it was the same hammy or not, but just kind of listening to Matt LaFleur talk about this, I kind of get the vibe that Marshawn Lloyd's done for the year. Again, you guys do your own research there. Let us know in the chat if you have anything else in that regard. Jordan Love, left shoulder, full participation. Colin Oliver, 21-day window, open hammy, limited participation. So he may be good to go this Saturday. We'll find out. As Matt LaFleur said, a lot of these are going to be game time decisions, it sounds like. So Zach Tom with the back/knee would not have participated. Obviously, Micah Parsons is going on the IR, going to have surgery. We'll come back to Zach Tom. Micah Parsons, great news in regards to he hasn't had the surgery yet. Sounds like he's got a child on the way, so he was trying to be there for that, and then they'll have the surgery. But it sounds like Matt LaFleur expects Micah Parsons to be around the team for the rest of the season. You know, sometimes these guys will have injuries and they'll go off and do their own thing rehab-wise and be kind of unplugged from the team. I think some coaching staffs and with some players, you look at it like, okay, we don't want you to be a distraction. You focus on rehab. We'll let these other guys kind of elevate into those starting roles. And we don't want it to be too much of a distraction. With Micah, I get the vibe. And again, you guys do your own research. It sounds like he's going to be around the team. I think that's great news. Anytime he can be in the ear of his teammates with Micah, he's a physical freak, but also the way he rushes the quarterback, he's always setting moves up and he's got a strategy that he uses, right? I think it would be awesome to have him in the ear of young players like Barron Sorrell, Lucas Van Ness, hell, even Rashawn Gary, right? Him and Rashawn Gary bouncing ideas off of each other as they try to patch this thing together after losing such a key piece. Zach Tom with the back/knee would not have participated if it had been a full practice. I hate to say this, guys, but if Darian Kennard's good to go, which he was limited with the neck, I really don't like the idea of going out there without Zach Tom. I feel like the offensive line was the big talking point coming out of Denver. It really struggled once Zach Tom left the game, but get him healthy for the playoffs. Don't rush him back out there, and then we're looking up in 2 weeks because we tried to beat the Bears, and he goes on IR. That's just my personal opinion. I want to know everybody in the comments. Let me know what you think about that. Kind of approaching it that way. And then, of course, you've got Lucas Van Ness with the foot injury, would not have participated. Hopefully he's good to go. I've seen some fans going at LVN. Guys, this is the first time he's been healthy since week 5. Healthy, right? He's still battling it. So I don't understand fans going at players like that. It don't make any sense. It's even sillier than fans trying to prod and poke player parents on Twitter as well. There's nothing positive coming out of it. I don't get it. Christian Watson, chest/shoulder, would not have participated. That's another one just like Zach Tom. If there's any hesitation at all, hold him out. Let's get him back for Baltimore. That's the way I feel about that short week. Again, he may be out there, though. It was great news that there was no significant damage there. It sounded like he's going to be kind of day-to-day, week-to-week, if you will. So that's kind of how I see that. Play it, cautious. Josh Wiley tied in with the concussion, did not participate. There's not much you can do there. He's got a clear concussion protocol. And until we see him pop up on the injury report at some point limited, I would expect he's going to be out Saturday. Short weeks never do you a favor when it comes to concussion protocol. So that's kind of how I see that, how I expect that to play out. Dontavion Wicks with the ankle did not participate. Evan Williams with the knee did not participate. Same thing. What I'm hearing with Evan Williams, it's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. So if it was just day-to-day, week-to-week, okay, see how he feels on Saturday. Matt LaFleur saying it's going to be a game-time decision, but I would say hold him out if there's any hesitation at all. Make sure you got him healthy for Baltimore, or worst-case scenario, make sure he's healthy there in Week 18 against the Vikings, as you're probably going to be playing for a playoff spot there, right, most likely. And then, of course, Savion Williams with the foot injury would have been limited, so maybe we're getting him back. Maybe he's finally getting healthy. We'll find out a little later in the week. So that's how I feel about the injury report. I kind of give you guys a little bit of an opinion as we roll through them. Now, let's back up a little bit. What does this mean? Okay, we got 16 players listed. I tried to get AI to organize this for us from all the, SI reports and this and that and everybody that's been reporting on these in between. This is what we got. Players who did not participate or would not have participated. Josh Jacobs, right, would not have practiced. You got Marshawn Lloyd probably going to be done for the year. Micah Parsons definitely done for the year. Zach Tom, Lucas Van Ness, Christian Watson, Josh Wiley, Dontavion Wicks, Evan Williams. Those guys, as it sits right now, feels like they're going to be game time decisions, okay? So, again, anything nagging there, unless they go out on Saturday and they go, nope, feel good, man, 100%, okay, play. But if there's I've got a little something here, but I think I can give it a go. No, sit them down. That's my opinion, right? Players with limited participation, Chris Brooks, Darian Kennard, Colin Oliver, and Savion Williams. If they are all good to go, pop them out there. It sounds like there's a better chance of all those guys playing as opposed to holding them out. And then, of course, players that would have been full participation, hopefully Brenton Cox Jr. opening a 21-day window, you're good to go there. Matthew Golden's good to go. Jordan Love. Now, it is worth mentioning Jayden Reed and Javon Bullard. This is the great news, what I put great news on the thumbnail for. Jayden Reed and Javon Bullard are not on the injury report. So notice we didn't read their name. And you're going, okay, well, what's the big deal, Clay? Well, Jayden Reed left there on the final drive. He seemed to bang his knee up a little bit. And Javon Bullard left as well, if I remember correctly. Now, another one is Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is on the injury report. However, Nate Hobbs got a little banged up. So backing up to Evan Williams in the knee, if we hold Evan Williams out to play it really, really cautious to get him ready for Baltimore or Minnesota so he's healthy for the playoffs, Javon Bullard, probably going to kick back to safety. I know you guys know how I feel about that. I think he's a much better slot corner than a safety, but you'll probably have to put Bullard back at safety. And with Nate Hobbs not being on the injury report, I expect him to kick into the slot. So here's the question I want to ask the chat, and I want everybody in the comments to let me know if you're watching this video back later. Which would you rather have? You've got two choices. Keep Bullard in the slot and have Hobbs on the bench, okay, and play Zane Anderson as the safety alongside Xavier McKinney. Remember, Zane graded out an 80 last year on something like, I think it was over 100 snaps, if I remember correctly. So he played pretty good football, just struggled to stay healthy. Would you rather have Zane Anderson playing safety with Bullard in the slot, Nate Hobbs on the bench, or would you rather have Bullard playing safety, Nate Hobbs in the slot, Zane Anderson on the bench? Because, again, Zane Anderson is a special teams guy too, so that wouldn't affect his role there. I can understand both I can understand both stances, right? I can understand both stances of, no, I'd rather have Zane at safety, keep Bull at the slot because that's his better position, and Hobbs hasn't blown up this year. However, Hobbs in his last couple of games looked pretty good when he was on the field, so maybe you put Hobbs in at slot and Bullard at safety. I want to know what you guys think about that because I'm kind of torn. If Bullard was just as good playing safety as he is slot, which he may be this year because he's obviously taking a step forward regardless, right? So he may take a step forward playing the safety position as well. If you approach it that way, is that the better lineup, having Hobbs in the slot? And really what it comes down to is who would you rather have on the field? This is essentially what it comes down to. Who would you rather have on the field, Nate Hobbs or Zane Anderson? That's the real question, right? And I can understand the people that want Zane Anderson out there over Hobbs. And I can understand the folks that say, well, if you put Hobbs in the slot, he's going to play at a higher level because that's what he's better at rather than playing outside corner. And it seems like Carrington is going to stay out there, Carrington Valentine. So let us know. And Fishy Thing says, I would do both. You'll probably see that, right? You'll probably see at some point or another Bullard playing some safety. You'll probably see Zane playing some safety. And you'll also see Hobbs on the field too, with Hobbs playing 10 snaps that last game. So we'll kind of see how that unfolds. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this back later. How do you feel about this injury report? What combination would you like to see? Also, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know when we go live at any point throughout the day, weeks, and months here in the future. All right, let's shift gears. I want to talk a little Matthew Golden, if that's all right with you guys. So, again, Matthew Golden on this injury report, right? Yeah, with the wrist, but he's full participation. So he should be good to go, right? I would imagine that Matthew Golden is going to be good to go. However, Jayden Reed with the knee, it's like, oh, what happened there? He's full participation too. So he should be good to go. That is great news in my opinion, okay? So if you've got Matthew Golden and Jayden Reed available and we're still a little bit hesitant on our boy Christian Watson, if you have to hold Christian Watson out, what does this offense look like? What you're going to have is Matthew Golden playing the Z position, right? That's what I would imagine would be the approach. With Matthew Golden would be your Z, Jayden Reed would be your F, Romeo Doubs would be your X, and Dontavion Wicks will be the backup Z and X, and then you would have probably Bo Melton being the primary backup at the F if you need to bring Jayden Reed out off the field at some point, right? So I'm really excited about Matthew Golden. That as Gregory says here in the chat, does any Packer catch the ball as securely as Matthew Golden? I don't think they do. I mean, Jayden Reed's got great hands, but not at the level that I've seen of Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden's got better. I'd say the only player that I would probably put in that same range in terms of hands, strong hands, catch point, right, is probably Romeo Doubs. And Matthew Golden has proven that's the strength of his game, is his ability to be able to catch the football. So what I did was I was going through watching the tape. I'm trying to get Chalk Talk together. I hope I have it ready for tonight. If not, we may have to hold it till tomorrow if other news breaks. But I agree with you, Gregory. I don't think there's another player on this team that catches the ball quite like Matthew Golden. So in this tweet I put out, here's Matthew Golden getting on the same page with Jordan Love when he's now that he's healthy. You know, people like to kind of criticize Matthew Golden or Matt LaFleur. They're not using Matthew Golden. Guys, he's been banged up all year. Like, he's not been available most of the time. And then when they would roll him out there, it's like, okay, if he's still got a little something, let's just limit him 5 snaps, this and that, right? If we're going back to weeks 1 through 5 or whatever, we wasn't happy that we were forcing the ball to Matthew Golden, guys, he wasn't ready either. You know, as a rookie, you've got to learn the choice aspect. There were several times that we showed Matthew Golden ran routes at the wrong depth, right? And it's not that Matthew Golden doesn't know how to run a 12-yard dig. It's that the choice aspect of Matt LaFleur's offense requires you to be on the same page with the quarterback and be reading the defense in the same manner that you may break that off 2 yards shallower, or you may turn that out into a corner based off of how the cornerback squatting underneath, things like that, right? So those things are very, very important. Now, what I pointed out on this video here, I won't go full screen. We'll just keep the tweet up for reasons you guys know. Notice the pre-snap hand signal Love gives Musgrave and Matthew Golden. Okay, looks like Jordan may have checked the right side to a wrap concept. Golden with great footwork at the top of the stem. So this is the dig route that they convert on, right? With Matthew Golden and Jordan Love. Now I want you to watch here. You can kind of see Jordan as we roll it. All right, you see the hand signal. He looks out to Musgrave. He looks out to Golden. They both get it. So you see he gives him the hand signal. He just gives him a little one of these, right? I think what he checked to was a wrap concept. And what does that mean? First of all, watch Musgrave. Musgrave gets it. He looks at our boy Golden. So what they may have had is another concept on, and they had a can within the concept. Notice he didn't can the entire play, but they may have broke the huddle. Like you'll hear sometimes they'll give like they may say snag in the huddle, and they've got a word for it or a number system for it on their wristband, right? They may come out and they call a wolf snag, and then they'll say check with me wrap. Okay, and what does that mean? Is okay, we got the wolf concept on the left with a snag on the right, but if I check with you at the line, change that snag into a wrap. Now, what's a wrap? The number 2 will run a curl route underneath. Okay, so the tight end is just going to run a curl route underneath. And then the number 1, which is Golden here, is going to run a dig over top of it. So what it does is it becomes a high-low read, and it forces the defenders, if they're in zone coverage, to, okay, we've got to either hammer down on the underneath route or we got to drift back and cover what could potentially be a dig. And you'll see here, they get the signal, and as we roll the tape, Jordan drops back to pass. Now watch, they're in zone defense. And to me, it looks like zone match. What'll happen with this defender here is he's kind of selling almost like he's running a curl flat look. And as soon as Matthew Golden stretches him vertically, he flips his hips and goes and covers a deep quarter. So to me, it looks like it's zone, or it's either true zone or it's zone match. And watch Golden here. So first of all, there's the curl underneath from Musgrave, right? And then here comes the wrap aspect where the one runs a dig. Look at the defender. Completely turns him around. They are respecting Matthew Golden's 4.3 40 speed, right? And what happens here, if we roll it back again, Matthew Golden, great footwork. Look at his head down. He's showing him, I'm streaking to the pylon, right? Now the corner has got to respect that speed, got to go, flips his hips, turns completely. The safety has to respect. They're essentially trying to bracket cover Matthew Golden a little bit because they know the speed he's got. We'll show you a slot fade here in a second where it's the same type of thing, right? They're having to respect that speed. So Matthew Golden puts him in a turnstile. And look at the separation. Look at all this space. So again, high-low read, what happens underneath? The zone hammers down on the curl. These guys flip their hips because of Matthew Golden's speed, and then he's running butt-naked through the trailer park. Now, you'd like to see a better ball from Jordan. People were going, what about the yak? You didn't have the yak because, look, Matthew Golden has to turn all the way around and catch the ball across his body. And what's the number one priority? Secure that ball beyond the sticks, pick up the first down. That's what he does. And then he kind of gets twisted up and falls down. Okay, now people were going, well, Jordan Love, that's a trash throw. Let's go back to what Love's seen here. Okay. Watch the pocket. Let's see if Love had a clean pocket or not. Just take a quick glance at the pocket. Steps back. Actually, I was zoomed in on the wide receiver, so you can't see it. I apologize. I thought I had the end zone cam. The moral of the story was Jordan had a little bit of pressure in his face. He couldn't fully step into it. The goal is pick up the first down first and foremost, right? You got a guy running butt naked through it. Would you like to have learned him, or would you like to have rather him, Jordan, lead him into space? Absolutely, but it's easier said than done, right? It's easy to talk about that sitting on our couch. So again, I would have loved a better ball. But to answer the question on the yak that happened in the comments, it's amazing how you could take a positive play, put it on Twitter, and Packer fans will find something negative about it. I thought this was a great play. I thought it showed three different things. Jordan Love, Matthew Golden on the same page, that Jordan can check to a half side can, right? Go to it, go from one concept to another. Matthew Golden pick it up, run the proper route, but also that with the speed and him pressing the top of the stem, that the defense, not only did one defender flip his hips and go like, oh, crap, this guy's a burner, I got to get back, but also the safety helping bracket over the top because he knows he's probably going to beat that corner to the corner of the end zone anyway with the speed and Matthew Golden getting open. So I just thought that was really cool to see them getting on the same page. Again, Matthew Golden, 3 targets, 3 catches. Here's another one of those 3 catches. Here's catch number 2. Now, think about this. We just showed you Matthew Golden playing the 1, right? We just showed you Matthew Golden playing the 1 position on the outside. You always count outside in. When you hear me say 1, 2, or 3, if it's a trips or tray set, the 1 will be out the outside receiver, the 2 will be the inside, and then the 3 will be the inside to that number 2, okay? In that case, there was only 2 receivers, so it's just a 1 and a 2 option on that side. Now, the running back in a sidecar may be the 3 technically. You do go into the backfield when you're talking about those things. But, again, there you had Matthew Golden in the 1, stretching the top of the stem and running a dig route in a route concept. All right. Now, next play. Let's highlight this one. Another great throw and catch here with Jordan Love and Matthew Golden, perfectly in sync. LaFleur shows a Y flex 1 look. What does that mean? Look down here at the bottom. You've got the Y, the tight end, is flexed out in the 1 spot. So that's what we call Y flex 1. The Y is flexed from his traditional tight end position into the number 1 receiver spot. Okay. Jordan, once again, checking at the line and throwing a dot to Matthew Golden on the slot fade. Great late hands from Matthew Golden. So you see Jordan comes to the line, and he's changing the play. I don't know if this was necessarily just a can or not. It looks like it's probably a can. Everybody across the formation gets it. At least everybody on the right does. You'll notice they acknowledge it. You've seen the tight end just put his hands down. You see the running back acknowledging it. I don't see these 2 receivers acknowledging it. So it might have been something that going into this game plan against Denver, Matt LaFleur saw something where it's like, hey, look, let's keep the left side on at all times. And let's have Cam plays to the right in terms of changing the concept on the right. That's something I picked up on. Again, without being in the meeting room, you don't know. But once again, this is Jordan and Matthew Golden being on the same page. He looked at him twice. Watch Jordan. Looks at him there. Matthew Golden doesn't give a hand signal, but he might not be trying to tip it either, right? Now, Jordan looks away, looks back to him again like, you good? All right, you got this? I'm coming to you. So now what's the call? This is a slot fade. So what's going to happen is the 1 is going to run a curl route, if I remember correctly. I think that's what he ran. I know the 2 is going to run the fade. Yep, so a little curl, okay? So notice the tight end at the bottom is going to run a curl route. So the 1's in a curl. The 2 is in a fade. You see this a lot with Matt LaFleur's offense this year. So with the slot fade, it's exactly what it sounds like. The slot receiver is going to run a 9 fade. The actual concept name here is a Haas concept. The reason I specify slot fade instead of Haas, a Haas is typically the 1 will run a curl, the 2 will run a go. Well, this is a go route. It's just more of a fade go, right? It's a 9 fade. A 9 route, the number 9, when you hear me say a 9 route, that's number 9 on the route tree, and that's a go route, okay? So when you go with a 9 fade or a slot fade, both are the same thing, but it is traditionally kind of a Haas concept. You're just attaching a fade as opposed to a skinny post or just a traditional go route. So you see them check at the line. Watch this throw and catch from Jordan to Matthew Golden. First of all, look at Golden. Very, very patient. Now turn on the burners. The guy runs with him. He's got hands on him too. Jordan puts this thing in a perfect place where Golden can make a late hands adjustment You could tell Golden is expecting this to be a back shoulder fade. It's not going to be just a true goal route, right? So again, that's what makes it a slot fade. Let's watch it from the end zone cam. Look at this throw from Jordan Love, boys. And again, look at the placement of the ball. Absolutely on the money, right? And great late hands from Matthew Golden. Look how late he waits. That corner's still expecting him to run vertically in the last second. Little twist, little pullback. Great grab from Matthew Golden. Now, again, for the people who want to criticize Jordan Love and his accuracy and this and that, he could have threw a better ball there. I don't know how he could have thrown a better ball, but look at the pressure once again. You got a defender diving at Jordan Love's knees. He's got to be aware of that pressure. Let me get the proper arm angle to get the ball out there to Matthew Golden. And then on top of that, I got to protect my knees because this dude is diving at my knees. I can't remember if there was a penalty on this play or not. That is a penalty in the National Football League. Defenders are not allowed to dive at the quarterback's knees. That's the old Tom Brady rule. But you see Jordan, last second, get his knee out of there. Could you imagine how devastating that would have been if Jordan Love doesn't pull his knee out there and that right knee locks in and he gets hit in it? I'm just saying. There's a lot of things going on for Jordan Love in the pocket where he's having to navigate and move around. It's a reason that throw was off on Matthew Golden on the dig route. It's get it out there and let your guys make a play. Don't take a sack. Try to create a proper arm angle so the ball doesn't get batted down at the line of scrimmage. All of those things across the board, right? So, again, man, yeah, exactly, Joseph. And that's the last thing we need is him out there saying that right there, right? Giving us one of these.
My knee.
So there's a lot more to it than just, that's an inaccurate throw. There's a lot of things going on around Jordan Love. Jordan Love's playing great football. He's playing great football. And again, that first half was dominant, right? I didn't even show you guys the fadeaway throw he hits Romeo. I think it was Romeo Dobbs he hit on. Go check out Jacob Morley on Twitter. That was his Jordan Love sicko throw of the week. So I'm loving the chemistry that Jordan Love and Matthew Golden have right now. I think they're showing a lot in that regard, and I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. So that's another reason, in my opinion, that we should hold Christian Watson out if he's not 100%. You've got Matthew Golden who can play the Z, right? Give him a chance to shine. I'm not saying Matthew Golden's a better receiver than Christian Watson. I'm not saying that. He may be. I'm not saying that either. All I'm simply saying is when you're worried about further injuring someone and you got a guy who's starting to rise, 3 targets, 3 catches, you're seeing a guy who's great now. As you can see here, the PFF grades, I'll kind of highlight this for you guys and gals here. When you've got a guy who's playing great football and you got another guy banged up, hold him out. Hold Christian out if he's not 100%. Let Romeo Dobbs play the X. Let Jaden Reed play the F. Let Matthew Golden play the Z, predominantly the speed Z position. And you can see with the Z in that particular set right there, some would call him the F in that position. I would call him the Z. He's on the tight end side and he's off the line of scrimmage, right? If I remember correctly, he was off. He might have been on. Regardless, he's on the tight end side because the tight end was flexed out. That's why the water gets a little muddy on who's the actual Z, the X, the F, all that. But you see, he can run those deep routes. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. Just got to give him an opportunity. So when you look at the rookie wide receivers with a minimum of 30 targets, so we filtered out the noise, right? All the noise of the guys who had 2 targets or 15 targets, right? It's played less football. This is how the draft class stacks up right now in terms of the receivers. And you guys know I'm really excited to get our Patreon group amped up for the draft season when it comes to that, because that's where you're going to get all the draft content. That's like the hub for it, for the PTA draft content is in our Patreon group. You can check it out, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. It's the best way to support what we do here. So we had on our receiving board, Tet McMillan 1, Emeka Egbuka 2, Luther Burden 3, Matthew Golden 4. Then we had Jaden Higgins and Trey Harris. Look at how this shakes out. Luther Burden of the Chicago Bears is grading out as a 75.9 as it sits right now. So he's leading the way, 75.9, 47 targets, 36 catches. Number 2 is Tet McMillan, according to PFF, with a 77.0. So we had our number 3 receivers actually leading the league in PFF grade right now at wide receiver. And then our number 1 receiver is number 2. And then look who's number 3, Matthew Golden. So Matthew Golden at a 69.7 on 35 targets, 27 catches is actually outperforming where we had him on our draft board by 1 spot, because and that's according to PFF, of course. Emeka Egbuka is in the number 4 spot at 68.9, and we had Emeka Egbuka as the second best receiver. So essentially what you've got is Emeka Egbuka is performing like the fourth best receiver, according to PFF, of course. Luther Burden is playing like the best receiver, Tet McMillan second, and Matthew Golden is sliding up to the number 3 spot. That's going to continue to go up with Matthew Golden. I love what we're seeing with Matthew Golden. He's been banged up. He hasn't gotten near as many opportunities as Luther Burden has. Obviously, they just kind of thrust him right in there. Now, it is worth mentioning on the injury report this week, Luther Burden is on the injury report with an ankle injury. He would not have participated Tuesday. So we'll see if he's going to be good to go. If Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, who did not participate as well with the foot injury, if they're both out in this game, and I'm not saying they will be, I kind of expect them to play, but that's 2 names to keep an eye on the Bears injury report. If they don't go, that's a big loss for the Chicago Bears for sure. But again, when you look at Matthew Golden and how he's progressed here, we talk about him missing time and this and that. He's been banged up all year, so it shows he's played a lot of games. But as you can see from weeks 11, he missed 12 and 13 altogether, and then of course only 1 target there in week 14, and he had played 5 snaps. That's explaining why he isn't getting as many looks. Right, he's been banged up here lately. But again, in Denver, look at that PFF grade, 82.1. So essentially, what you've got is his second and third highest graded games have come in the last 3 weeks. And the one in between, he only got 1 target because he played 5 snaps. So if you remove that 1 target game there where he's banged up and they tried to get him to go out there, okay, yeah, it's not 100%. Let's just kind of hold him back. His last 2 games were a 70 and an 82. Now, his best game was week 6 before he battled some of the injuries there a little later in the year, a 90.4 there against the Bengals, 5 targets, 3 grabs. So don't be surprised if Christian Watson doesn't play Saturday night against the Bears. Don't be surprised if Matthew Golden goes out there and just and lights it up. I'm excited to see what he can do. As Joseph said there, yeah, great trend, absolutely. Coach Lynn in the chat, I'm glad we drafted Golden over Burden. He seems like a loose cannon. Completely agree, Coach. That will rear its ugly head again later. We are definitely seeing the same thing there. That kind of feels like the makings of a George Pickens. Just constantly there's something going on, right? We'll see though. Maybe he can get it together. I know you don't wish that on him. I don't wish that on him. He's a young football player, whether he plays for a rival team or not. You want guys to obviously represent the NFL as best as possible and do what they're supposed to do. But I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that. There's something about Luther Burden that kind of feels like he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and he's doing it in a very, very irresponsible way. What should have been a penalty there against the Packers, whatever reason it didn't get called. But yeah, grabbing Keyshawn by the throat, obviously. So I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to see what Matthew Golden can do. Again, if Christian's good to go, put him out there. If he's not, let's let him get healthy for the Baltimore game. We may have to take our lumps this week and possibly take an L to Chicago if you have to hold these key players out. But boy, oh boy, if you try to force them out on the field, it's not even force them. We know nobody's going to force them on the field. If the coaching staff and the training staff allow them to put themselves in harm's way on Saturday night and they're not 100%, that's the real way of explaining it. If that happens, we could really, really hurt our chances of going on a run in the playoffs. It's bad enough that you're without Micah Parsons, right? It's bad enough you're without Elton Jenkins and Tucker Kraft and insert any of the other names, right? The last thing you want to do is all these key players. I mean, you're talking about key players, guys. Christian Watson, Zach Tom, Evan Williams. Those 3 guys, hold them out if you have to. If you got to take an L, you got to take an L. Listen, I'm not saying if you hold those guys out, you're going to take an L. I wouldn't be surprised if we come out there and the next man up mentality works and these guys are on fire and they're ready to go out there and perform for their teammates that are banged up. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. So I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you're watching this video back later in the comments. How do you feel about what we broke down there with Matthew Golden? And obviously Jaden Reed going to be on the field with him too. Sounds like he's fully healthy. Or would you guys risk it and you want to see Christian Watson out there? That's, that opinion's welcome as well. We want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let us know what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon. I want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome hanging out in here. Appreciate y'all jumping in and talking ball on such short notice. I'm going to try to go live again later today. I'm going to try to get Chalk Talk up and running as well. But again, I apologize for no show yesterday. Just had to run over to Kentucky and spend some time over there in the home sweet home, I guess you could say, my old Kentucky home. So it was good to get back home a little bit and see some folks and spend a little time over there. Every now and again, you got to get back in the mountains, man. It's therapeutical, no doubt. So, all right. Appreciate everybody. Hit that like button for me. We'll see you guys later. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. We're out.
Bye, guys.